everybody. Welcome back to ACELab360. We did a few episodes last year, and they were pretty successful. They were a nice little test run. And so this year, 2018, we're hoping to release many more episodes. And this, as a starter, would be kind of good to review some things that happened last year. We're here at the January 12 right now, so CES is wrapping up, so we can talk about that. And we should probably start out with introducing everybody, because some of you have been on shows before, but most of you haven't. So start with Ruben.
Hey, I'm Ruben. I'm a digital media grad student here. This is my first quarter, Drexel University, but I did graduate from the undergrad program here as well, the Game Art and Development program.
Okay. I'm Robert. I'm also a first-year grad student here studying digital media. Like Ruben, I also went through undergrad studying game development here.
Sure. You might recognize me from last season, but again, my name's Brendan. I'm an interactive digital media student here at Drexel. And in terms of immersive media, I've been really interested in it for the past 3 years, since I was a freshman. And we, both of us actually, we started the virtual reality club together.
I'm Fatma. I'm an animation and visual effects student here at Drexel with an immersive media virtual reality minor. What I'm mostly interested in 360 videos and telling stories in 360. So.
I should probably mention my name is Nick Josh Chishin. I head up the animation, visual effects, immersive media programs here. And and here, by the way, is Drexel University. This is the ACELab studio. Being the first week that we've really been open in January for the year, there's still construction going on. There's some classes running around, so we might have a little bit of background noise. But again, we'll get these episodes more and more polished as we go. One of the things that I'm interested in sharing with folks is just like, what is it that got you guys interested in immersive media in the first place? I mean, I come from a feature film background. It was almost like a natural transition. It's been integral to our department for over a decade. We've always done this, but these days, now that it's so easily accessible, it's becoming more interesting. And I'm curious, what got you into virtual reality, augmented reality, immersive media in general? Like, what is it that kind of triggered that interest?
Sure. So for me, it started really around 2012 with the announcement of the Leap Motion, which was for me something super exciting. Big Tom Cruise fan, Minority Report. So seeing all the hand motions, being able to use your computer just with your hands was fantastic.
It's interesting because I felt like that was a product that came out before its time. The Leap Motion is just that little USB device. It's really inexpensive too. It just plugs in and you can wave your hands. But when it first came out, VR headsets weren't even a really regular consumer thing. I mean, there were development kits and such, but I definitely see a lot of potential for that in terms of being able to naturally interact without. One of my pet peeves is the fact that we have to hold these battery-powered hand controllers to interact with that world. It really should get to a point where we're just using empty hands to interact with all these worlds. So that's the thing that triggered it for you. And then
I know with like the HTC Vive, you can attach Leap Motion to it and the Rift as well, and still use it, right?
Yeah. There's development kits for that now. Those are standard downloads, so you can integrate that straight ahead in the game engines like Unity, Unreal.
Correct.
So you can do that, but it's not a regular thing. It's not like
right.
Hey, I'm getting my Oculus, and don't you want a Leap Motion as well? And so it's still in development. I mean, I think people are trying to figure out, the field of view issues and exactly what to do with it. But okay, that's pretty cool. Rob, what got you into this?
When I came to Drexel, one of my friends, he started making games for like VR headsets. And that started like really getting me interested. But I think what really like was the tipping point for me was when the first immersive media class was offered here at Drexel my junior year, and it really introduced me to a lot more things than just like VR, like such as like projection domes, which was really interesting and just like really cool because it's a whole new. You're able to be immersed, but you don't like you're able to share the experience, and you're not like wearing stuff on your face and. So I would say that is that was like where I entered, and now like everything in it really just excites me, like the possibilities of doing new things when like so many things have been done in technology and now like here comes along this new frontier. So now we're able to sort of like look back and like see who inspired us, and hopefully then we can go forward and then inspire other people.
It's funny because the dome projection solution has been around
Yeah.
for decades, and that's really generally in the past, before all these headsets became available, that was how we taught. The drawback of that is it's crazy expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, even we have like our little test dome that we use, and even that was tens of thousands of dollars. So it's interesting now though that for a couple $100 anyone can click a button on a website and it's on their doorstep the next day and be able to use a headset. So it's pretty cool, interesting. How about you?
Sure. So when I first came to Drexel and studying interactive digital media, I was really interested in human-computer interaction. And actually during my first week here at school, I got the opportunity to, there was an event that was run by Leap Motion where they had their sensor attached to an Oculus Rift. And that was my first time trying virtual reality, and just being able to interact with the world so intuitively with my hands. I just felt it like this. I knew that like, this was the future of human-computer interaction. And from there, I just wanted to learn more.
Great. Fatma?
And for me, I think it's mostly like talking to Brendan. He was a big influence, and like the VR club, and that like started my interest. And then I got into like, we got all these 360 cameras, and then I was like, wow, that's really cool. I can go around, take photos and videos. And I watched like 360 animations, and it was really interesting how you can tell a story in 360 and so compelling, and it's such a different way compared to traditional video, but also it has its perks, and I think it's really interesting, and that's what I want to learn more about and am like working on, is
Awesome.
telling a compelling story.
Yeah, and we have a lot of things to talk about in terms of what happened last year and CES and things like that. But for me, hearing what is interesting to you guys, I mean, you guys are the future, and if you're not interested in it, then this isn't the future. But if you are, then it's intriguing to me to know, what is it that triggered that interest? Where do you guys see it going? Because really, I'm the generation that's kind of passing that baton down. So, which brings us to like just this past year, there have been a lot of developments. I feel like 2016, VR really kind of came out to consumer awareness in general. But 2017, it was just this onslaught of changes in terms of equipment and market penetration and things like that. So. I don't know, Rob, what did you see in 2017 that was most interesting to you?
What was most interesting to me was all of the price drops that happened from like for companies such as Oculus, how they started at $800 with the touch controllers, went all the way down to $400, and it just shows how they're like sort of like driving to like a get into like every like trying to get into like every person really, because like it is the future, but it's going to take a while, and that price drop is really it shows how they're how fast they're like trying to push this out, and it helps because like as a college student, when you see something and that price tag's $800, like you think like, oh, like I'm never gonna get that, but then if it drops down to like $400, $350 on sale, then like you're a lot more compelled to like go in and try it for the first time. So
nice. All right. Brendan, anything that happened last year?
Yeah, so I guess building on top of that, so Oculus is coming in from the high end with the Rift and like that high end price point, but it's also cool to see them coming in from the lower end as well with the standalone devices like the Oculus Go that they announced in 2017, just making VR more accessible. But in addition, I think another big announcement this year was in the summer with Apple announcing their implementation of ARKit. And that's Apple's really big first foray into immersive computing. So like having those big names in tech like Google, Apple, Facebook, and Microsoft all going into this industry, I think is a sign that we're onto something good. But specifically with ARKit, it enabled millions of iPads and iPhones to unlock a whole new type of application where you're mixing the digital world with the real world. And I think it's a very exciting opportunity for consumers to get into augmented reality, but also level the playing field for developers to get into creating these new types of experiences.
Right, because before ARKit, almost everything developed in VR AR was either really low-level C code or built up on game engines, which really are, rather specialized areas of development in general, which, anyone who is an app developer for devices, they would know that their language, their toolkits for that, and not necessarily be well versed in game engine per se. So ARKit allows folks to, that don't necessarily have game engine knowledge to start developing AR-enabled apps.
Yeah, 100%. So if you're coming from an app developer's perspective, you can start getting into ARKit right away through Swift and Xcode, which is Apple's native developer environment. But it also made, because all you need is an iPhone and a computer, developers are allowed to be a lot more mobile in terms of where they can set up, and like having a whole Oculus Rift or a Vive set up is a lot of equipment, takes a lot of time to set up. But if you just have a phone, you can pretty much be working on these types of applications anywhere.
And we know just from sales figures that there are billions of iPhones and iPads and such out there. So it means that all those folks already have the device.
Exactly,
and
yeah.
So you can just deploy a piece of software, and there's a large population of audience. So that's really great. How about you, Fatma?
2017 was the year I got more into 360 videos, so cameras were really interesting to me. So the Ricoh Theta V, the Insta360 one, and the Samsung Gear 360. They're all like great cameras, and it's exciting to see that even new ones are coming out and they're getting more accessible and portable. Like the Ricoh Theta V, it's super tiny, and you can just put it in your pocket, and it works with Android and iOS, and it has an app and you can use it as a remote control, and it's super great to use, and
it's inexpensive.
It's inexpensive. It's around like 300, maybe 250.
Okay.
And like I can save up money and buy that, and I'm a college student, I'm broke, but it's nice.
Okay.
You can.
So, so the 360 cameras, there's a lot for me. I like to focus more on the professional end. So, when I'm looking at things, there are a lot of more digits involved in the number. But it was interesting to me, on 360 cameras. I mean, Nokia Ozo, even to this day, is the premier all-in-one camera for 360. Especially 360 stereo, and it's been discontinued. I mean, it was the dominant player, and almost at the same time as that was discontinued, a host of other competitive cameras came out. And the Ozo initially, I think it was selling at the $50,000 range, $60,000. You had to add on expensive software in order to live stream from it, and this price drop stuff, it dropped to $25,000, which is still pretty expensive. But then when the Ozo was canceled, it seemed like all these other products were ready to roll. There's this little company, Camdial, that came out with something called Obsidian, and that's in the $8,000 range, I think, right now. Samsung released a new camera, professional, at the $10,000 range. And Insta has a pro version of their camera, and there's a few other professional cameras. And these are the ones that are available as a standard, buy it off the shelf product. Google and Facebook each had their own custom camera systems that they were building, and to a certain degree, they actually either rent them out or loan them out for higher end productions. There's the Jaunt VR camera has a number of developments. So on the camera side, it is really, really interesting. And so, I know that the AR toolkit and game engine development is where a lot of virtual reality, augmented reality come in, but just capturing content and deploying it in a immersive format, 360 video, especially stereoscopic 360 video, is pretty compelling.
On that note, like Vimeo release, we can now put 360 videos on Vimeo, so that's also has been great. We've been waiting for that. So
yeah, Vimeo, Facebook, YouTube, and there's a few other standalone streaming services. So pretty cool. And some of these, like your Insta, and there's a few others that just that was kind of an overview of 2010, and actually we didn't even get a chance to get into it. Microsoft released, actually helped with the release of now there's besides Oculus and Vive, there's actually a whole product line of mixed reality headsets now available, and those are in the few $100 kind of a range, and they're already integrated. We got one of them. We have a few of different ones here now, but you plug it in USB, plug it in HDMI, and in Windows 10, if it's all up to date, just oh, by the way, you've got mixed reality. So I think that we're getting closer and closer to these turnkey solutions versus okay, you're going to install this driver, and then you're going to install this thing. So it's becoming more consumer focused, which then brings us to the Consumer Electronics Show, CES wrapping up. Anything there in particular that you saw?
Yeah. So there was the Nano Insta360. I've just been looking at them for a while now. But the Nano S camera, I think, is interesting. It's kind of an advancement to the Insta360 one they had. But you can do 360 live video streaming, and you can also do video chat 360, which I think is really exciting, and it's gonna change a lot how we interact with people, and just and then they also released the Titan camera, so it's an 8-lens VR camera, and it's a more high-end camera that you would be interested in, a Pro. It's around like $12,000, and that's really exciting to see that. And there's also like the light field camera that they announced, and light field, that technology just makes me it's really exciting and fascinating because it really simulates the real world. Like, you can see things instead of in a video, you can see it from different perspective. Like, tilt your head and you can see it differently.
So you can actually look
Yes.
around something
Yes.
as opposed to being I've got this one point and I can look around, but
Exactly.
I can't move around. Okay.
Yeah, and I think another really interesting point on the camera front is Google working with these partners to create these VR 180 cameras. So in terms of getting the immersive experience, but from a package that is a lot more affordable and can also focus on getting higher resolution in the area that people are watching, I think is really interesting. And it's also more a more familiar shooting style for content creators to shoot in, because they don't have to worry about what's behind the camera. Like how are we gonna utilize the full space? They can use more traditional cinema techniques to film their scenes, but have them be more like a more immersive IMAX experience. So if you've ever been to a theater where like the screen is like coming around you, you can get that type of experience, but you can upload the video to YouTube and then experience it in a cardboard headset rather than going to an IMAX theater.
Gotcha. All right. Ruben, I kind of skipped over you when we did 2017, but how about CES? I mean, was there anything there?
Yeah, well, I mentioned I'm a lot into AR and hand gesture controls, voice controls as well. So there's this company, V6 Blade. They came out with an announcement for AR glasses. Me and Brendan spoke about this before the show, though. It's not true AR. It's more of a heads-up display than it is actual AR. They're just glasses that you wear, like normal glasses like you guys are wearing right now, with a heads-up display built in. And you can use voice controls through Amazon's Alexa, which is sweet. That's awesome. I think integration with Amazon is like a big step up for companies, because it's software that's already out there. And we've seen like the Echo Dot and like Google's Assistant as well. Like, those things are booming right now, like the Home.
Yeah, I think a good way to think about the V6 Blade is an Apple Watch, but on your glasses. And I think that is really taking computing to the next level, where you're completely hands-free. So this information is being presented when you want it to be presented. And I think the form factor of the V6 Blade is what's most compelling about that device, because it's making wearing like a computer on your face more common, like more acceptable. And I think that's going to kind of open the gates for future AR devices to come out.
Right. I think having technology that's non-intrusive, that's more acceptable, is a big step up in the game of AR, especially because we saw the Google Glass. It was $3,000 or $1,000 when it came out, but that kind of failed. It looked a little goofy, in my opinion, a little nerdy. But now we have these glasses that you could just look in, regular glasses that'll tell you like navigation, your text messages, your contacts, and they're rather inexpensive. They're about $1,000. Sets released Q2 this year,
Okay.
supposedly.
Yeah, and that is a big shift. Like having something that you would feel comfortable wearing.
Right.
And we've had Hololens for a while, and I mean that's true AR. It's tracking the real world and overlaying and all at the same time, but that involves a lot of other hardware. So there is a full physical computer built into that headband. It's not something that you would just wear walking on the street.
Yeah.
It's obviously a computing device, and even the Google Glass was a little more elegant, but at the same time, it was still this. Oh, you're wearing Google Glass, you gotta.
Yeah.
So this becoming less obtrusive, and the integration to tools like Alexa is really interesting. So we can again get closer and closer to simply talking to our devices and using our hands empty-handed naturally to interact with them is very cool. How about you, Rob? From CES?
Yeah, the most interesting announcement at CES for me was Intel coming out and showing their collaboration with AMD on their new chips, where they have AMD's Vega processors, Vega GPUs built into their processors. So it really it takes away the need for having a discrete graphics card for VR and immersive experiences, and it's really it's making a whole new product. And even though it's in its first generation, and right now the product which it's launching in is going to be around $1,000. In a couple generations or so, I believe it will drop in price, just like every new technology does. And because of that, it will definitely help bring this whole immersive world to more consumers, and it will make it a lot more accessible. So, which is sort of my whole take on this is bringing immersive media to everyone, because it's coming eventually to everyone, but I really enjoy seeing these companies really pushing the bounds and making it come faster. So
Well, we've seen a shift also with Sony and Microsoft. You have Sony's VR headset that came out last year. We have the Xbox One X also that's VR ready out of the box that also came out last year.
that's true.
So I mean, there's companies like ARKit, also Apple, adopting all these things. It's really cool to see.
Yeah.
Seeing all these huge companies. When at first it was small companies like Oculus. I say small because we're not but now Oculus is owned by Facebook. But seeing all these huge companies really pushing the boundaries is very cool for something which just a few years ago wasn't really around. So
yeah, I think honestly that's an interesting note out of CES is where the consumer targeted products are going, because really and realistically there have been a lot of naysayers, still are. 2016, 2017, you could easily point to even the products that are available right now that you can have on your desk at this moment have rather low resolution.
Yeah.
We'd love to see higher frame rates. We'd love to see smaller form factors and lower prices and all that. But bit by bit, all of those things are happening, and even interaction. Even today, all these products come with some form of hand controller, and I need that, and now I need to learn how to use this thing. But the fundamental technology of using an empty hand and interacting exists, and each of these different columns of traits are getting improved and improved and improved. So it's a really good trajectory. Yeah. I don't know if you had anything. Did we bring up anything for you specifically? Oh no, you had something from CES.
Yeah, so I guess building on top of that point of incremental improvements, I think HTC with their Vive, arguably one the biggest headset in the consumer market right now. It's great to see HTC listening to the feedback from their consumers from their first generation and how they can improve their headset. So a lot of the complaints were that is with the headset on the front of your face, it's it weighs down the front of your face and it's not very comfortable for long periods of time. Also, the headset or the headphones, taking those on and off, in addition to having a whole headset, it's an extra step and not really the best situation. But again, they came out at CES with the Vive Pro, which addresses all of those concerns. Basically making it more ergonomic to wear on your head with the integrated headphones. And then one of the other interesting things with that was they put two cameras in the front of the headset 6 centimeters apart, so the same distance between your two eyes. And what that allows you to do is actually use the feed from the camera to pass through to the screen and start to develop augmented reality experiences. And on top of that, they increase the resolution a lot on the headset, and that enables like just better graphics, but also enables some more productivity applications because you're able to actually read text in the headset more clearly. So like you can imagine having virtual desktops all around you, like Minority Report.
Nice. Your favorite thing. Yeah, and for me, CES, there's a few different things. I mean, there's so many different products coming out. You were mentioning a few cameras. There's another company, Humanize, that came out last year with a standalone recording camera at consumer level, only $800. They have a new kit now that's capable of live streaming, so you can record or stream live full 360 as in stereo as well as monoscopic. But I think that the biggest thing is looking across all these products at the Consumer Electronics Show is that none of them are perfect yet, which I don't know about you guys, but for me that's the exciting bit, is that there's room for development, there's room for folks to get in and get involved, and while a lot of big companies are throwing a lot of resources at this, they haven't figured it out yet, and they'll be needing new folks to help them with that. So I think therein lies the opportunity. So that's all I had for this particular show, and we're pretty much running out of time. We'll have some more shows coming up throughout the year. We'll probably start digging into individual topics. We'll bring each of you in for different areas of your expertise. I know you didn't even get to talk about like your main area is actually motion capture and be able to do room scale VR. So we have a lot of stuff coming up over the year. So for now, thanks for joining us, and until next time, have fun.